That last word looks weird. A coefficient probably hasn't appeared in your math tool belts yet, but a coefficient's going to start appearing quite a bit with equations. I'm going to give you a hint, then you're going to turn and talk to your partner. Look at example 1. If I were to tell you that the coefficient of example 1 is 1/2, what could you make for a definition of a coefficient? Get an answer ready, or at least a thought, and tell your partner, I don't care who starts, 30 seconds. What's a coefficient? Go. Three, two, one. Okay, let's go to Hadley. What did your team talk about? Any thoughts of a coefficient? We're kind of brainstorming, so no answer is a bad answer. Just give me a thought. That's a good start, like the first number of an equation. I'm going to add on to that. Tell me more. That's a good start, but we want to kind of clarify a few things. Logan. Beautiful. So those two places or definitions are great places to start. It isn't always the first number listed. If I were to make this your equation, the coefficient's not 11. It normally is the first one listed because normally your equation will have the variable first, but Logan's addition to that is that it's the number next to a variable. And your coefficient is always going to be the number next to the variable. Write coefficient underneath or above example 1. And your definition is going to be the number. I'll abbreviate it with a hashtag. That means number. It's a symbol. Coefficient is the number. Next to number, the number next to a variable. Okay, so now that we know what that is, let's review a few of the steps. You always need to get in the habit of looking to see what's happening to the variable. Cross out the blank. Then you do the inverse to both sides with the exact same number, including the sign. Remember that dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So up until this point, the last week, we've been doing this step, number 1. You have done the opposite of what it's actually been doing. However, when there is a fraction, underline fraction, you are going to not focus on step 1, but you're going to add another step to your tool belt, and we're going to practice using the reciprocal. The reciprocal is the opposite of a fraction. Make a little note above reciprocal, put opposites. The reciprocal is the opposite of a fraction. So let's look at 1/2. Put an example for 1/2. The reciprocal of 1/2 would be 2/1. The reciprocal is also called the refliprocal in my mind. Do not go to Stanford in 7 years when you graduate high school and go to an Ivy League school and tell your professor, hey, that's the refliprocal, because they will possibly chuckle, but also maybe throw you out of class. So don't say refliprocal. It's really reciprocal, but in my mind, I think refliprocal because that's what it's doing. It's the refliprocal. It's flipping. Okay, so example 1. I have a 1/2 times an a. It equals 11. Well, what's happening to the 1/2 in the a? It's multiplying. So we want to use the refliprocal of 1/2 times a. And you might be thinking, well, don't we divide? because 1/2 is multiplying by a. This is the one step that's a bit different. If you have a fraction, I am not going to do this. Don't write that. That just looks kind of funky because it's a fraction divided by a fraction. The same exact process can be done if you multiply by the reciprocal. So when you have a fraction, instead of dividing it, I'm going to multiply it, but do the reciprocal instead. Same thing on the other sides. And let's simplify this. 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. 2 can cross cancel with a 2. Cross it out. And it's 1. And if you cross it out and have 1s on every top and bottom, what's left over, Logan? What's the only thing on the left side now? It's a, and that's what I wanted. Let's check the right side. 11 over 1 times 2 over 1. Simplify that for me. Logan, keep going.
Wouldn't it just be 22? And our substitute just said you can just put 22 and the 1 would be like just under there, but like invisible.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's really 22 over 1 because 11 times 2 is 22 and 1 times 1 is 1. However, they won't usually have that in the answer because this isn't in simplest form. Anything over 1 is just itself on top. So just, I want you to get in the habit of not putting a 1 underneath there and just put a 22 for the answer. Next example. Negative 3 over 5a equals 2. I want you to rewrite this problem so we have room to work. Since there's a negative sign, it gets a little bit trickier to do. Okay. I see a fraction. It is multiplying by a. I'm thinking in my head division, but I'm not dividing this one because I noticed there's a fraction. Instead of dividing it, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal or reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of negative 3 over 5? Daniel. Yeah, keep the negative sign, flip the numbers. So let's put a negative 5 over a 3. I multiplied by negative 5 over 3 on the left, so I multiplied by negative 5 over 3 on the right. Leah, help me simplify the left side. What can I cross cancel? Okay, and what else? Okay, and everything turns into a 1. Cordelia is also a Leah nickname. You can deal with it. You can talk to her after what she wants you to call her, but yeah. 1 over 1, 1 over 1, negative times a negative. Everything cancels out because it's a negative times a negative. The only thing left is what, Paige? It's a 1a or just an a. Because 1a is also a, we're going to just get in the habit of putting a by itself. And the right side, let's simplify this. I have a 2 times a negative 5 over 3. Why would I put the 2 over a 1, Nora? Why does that help me? It helps me visualize it, and it gives me something to multiply by the 3. That's exactly right. So 2 over 1 is the same as 2. I didn't change anything. I'm just making it easier to visualize. Multiply the top. 2 times 5 is, whole class. Multiply the bottom. 1 times 3 is. And a positive times a negative is a negative. A is equal to negative 10 over 3, or Lauren, what mixed number can I make? That is your answer. Negative. Yeah. Yeah. Probably not. I'm going to have it probably like, it's going to be a little rough because you'll have 2 weeks off, but I'm anticipating we'll review on Monday and kind of like get refreshed on all the equations. And then we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and we'll probably have to test like the Friday you get back, possibly the Monday after. We're in the middle of a unit, and so I don't want to give you a test and rush things like on Thursday because we're not quite ready for everything that I have on the test. Just a kind of funky schedule. Next page, please. Friday's packet was 4-5. On Friday's packet, give me a thumb up if you finished every problem on bronze, silver, and gold from 4-5. Thumb up if you finished everything. Thumb sideways if you got about halfway. And I already know who was absent. Thumb up if you finished everything from 4-5. You might need to glance at that packet. I'm assuming if your thumb is not up that you probably didn't finish everything. Put your hands down. If